and my subscribers. Very welcome to the TutorASRumale, the channel dedicated to the tutorials on computer science and engineering, artificial intelligence, software design, advanced technologies and emerging trends. Here I am going to share only the knowledge regarding this and nothing else. I request you all to subscribe my channel, share it with your friends, relatives and contacts which are interested in learning the technologies. Also, I request you to comment and like and suggest me the new topics to cover under this channel. Thank you very much, and welcome you all once again to my channel TutorASRumale. Let's see the today's topic. Thank you.
University. Master of Engineering from D.Y. Patil College of Engineering and Engineering Pune University 2008. MBA in HR from Yashwant Rao Chauhan Maharashtra Open University Nasik. Sir, research areas are networking, distributed system, cloud computing, distributed system security and Internet of Things. Sir has published more than 17 papers in various national and international journals and 19 papers in various national and international conferences. Sir is a program committee member for more than 15 conferences. Sir is a reviewer in IEEE transaction on cloud computing Scopus SCI. Sir is a reviewer in Elsewhere Computer and Security Scopus SCI. From 2016, Sir has published more than 4 books in various areas. Okay. Now I would like to call our resource person, Dr. Aniruddha Rumale sir, to enlighten the audience with his proficiency in cloud computing. Please, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for the introduction. My sound is coming. Voice, am I audible? Hello.
Sir, you are audible.
Okay. So we'll go with
Yes,
yes. Yeah. So we'll go with this security in cloud computing. This is the subject that I'm going to give the lecture right now, or what you can say this 2 hours introductory session, because security in cloud computing is very complex subject to cover within 2 hours. So before going through these slides, I will just like to give the scenario of cloud computing. I know that from morning you are attending the different what you can say views on the cloud computing from different authors. I just want to elaborate my understanding about the cloud computing. And so be patient with me, because this is a you may feel like this something was a shift from a simple presentation to a classroom like teaching, that using paper pen pencil paper method, and then we are trying to discuss these things. So when we have the cloud, we have 3 parts in cloud. First, this is the cloud user. Okay, so let's call this as a CU or cloud user or cloud client. Okay, now Foxit PDP. Here you are having this CU or the cloud user. Now these are in numbers, so you are having n number of cloud users. N number of cloud users. So I'm just showing this using these 2 symbols. Now these cloud users are actually generally connected with cloud service provider, what you can say infrastructure, something. This is generally connected with this cloud service providers infrastructure using some unknown uncertain network or internet, which is generally shown by the symbol cloud, and that's why it is called as a internet computing is called as a cloud computing. There is an very interesting story behind that. When Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, actually was giving one his presentation before many businesses and other tycoons, he accidentally forgot on what to call this. But this is a symbol of internet, and so instead of saying internet, he just said in his presentation in a flow cloud computing, and that subject that become what you can say the name. Now this is a two-way communication. This is two-way communication. That is, this cloud user is sending the request over this internet. Internet is accepting the request of cloud user, and like that. Now these things goes via this cloud and it goes to the cloud service provider. Again, the communication is two-way. Means obviously whatever request there. Now cloud service provider architecture is basically divided in three parts. Basically, I'm saying with these three parts. I'm not talking about infrastructure as a service, software as a service, or platform as a service. These are the three different parts than what you are saying. So you are having three parts in the cloud architecture. One first part, which is the part through which all communication actually happens, is you can call as CAM, control and monitoring system. So this is not our government of India's camps. This is a control and monitoring system of cloud. So to make it more, what you can say, distinct, let's make it as a CC-CAM or C-CAM, cloud computing, CC-CAM. So you can say cloud computing control and monitoring system. This is one thing. Then in here you are on the computational resource. Okay, so when we say computational resource, we are talking about the processing power. Okay, this is the second part. And then you are having storage resource. When you see the storage, whatever the data that you are storing or are using or processing, that need to be stored either in a stable storage or in unstable or volatile storage. Okay, now apart from this, logically it can be divided into three parts: infrastructure as a service, then platform as a service, and software as a service. So this is the basic, what you can say, simplistic view of a cloud computing. Now comes the security in picture. So let's start with the security. So this cloud have to provide security to its client. Okay, so what you can say, this is as a by security, a security by cloud computing to its client. Then there is this client need to get a security for its data by this cloud computing in cloud computing. So this is a insecurity. Okay, these are the three aspects of the securities in cloud computing. The security in a cloud, what security cloud provides to its user. And obviously when a cloud is providing a security to its user, and there is some security provided by the cloud for this user, then this insecurity is a data, or I can say data specific. By security is authentication, or what we call as an authorization or privacy specific. Okay, so these are the two different aspects. Now you need to safeguard this entire infrastructure. For cloud computing, you need to safeguard this entire architecture. So this one we can call as a security for cloud, or this is the third and most important aspect, because when it comes to control and monitoring system, you are actually keeping records of login time, keeping records of logout time, keeping records of usage of the different services that offered as a service by the cloud to this user, and based on that you are calculating certain billing. Okay, so the cloud is basically pay as you go model, or what we can say, it's a rental model. Means you are having a sufficient money. Just consider this how simplistic cloud computing can be. You have sufficient money, but you don't know what to do with that money. So you decide, well, let's build a hostel. So you build a hostel, 1 BHK, 2 BHK, 3 BHK, like this. You not build any apartment, you build a hostel. Okay, with all the amenities and so what you can say, everything is available there. Now you build this But now when you build this, you are not going to live in every room of that hostel. So what you generally do, you have a manager there, that is a cap. Okay, this manager will take care of allocating, delocating, collecting the rent and everything by offering these hostels. So now this is what we call as a lodging burden. So whenever you give something, uh, okay, whenever you give something, basically the service to someone in what you can say this, exchange of certain money, we can call this as a cloud computing. So human labor contractor, all these are the clouds. Okay, but at a human level, the technological level, we are on this. Cloud computing actually started again with the that there's also a historical story. We started with the Amazon. Amazon to make its e-shopping possible created a lot of what can I say, a very complex network of processors and the storage area, but then they found that the resources they are having are underutilized, and at that time Amazon was also facing some problem with the profit making in the business quarter. So what they decided, why not to rent the hours in which their servers or their computers are remaining idle to the other companies. And Amazon first started that, means through network the other companies can use the infrastructure of the Amazon, and that's why it's called as Amazon. And for that purpose Jeff Bezos was there to give them an idea that how this is going to happen, and then he simply said instead of internet, cloud, because internet is shown by the symbol of cloud, and so internet computing was known by the cloud computing. So security is very major thing. Now first comes security by cloud. Seeing as a security by cloud, that is comes in a privacy of the user. Any cloud user don't want to reveal his privacy or don't want to get what you can say, so he generally don't want his privacy to be revealed. So what he has given with an username, okay, username, then you know that this is a very typical way that you are asking the password. Then you have the two-factor authentication, so you are having the OTP. Okay, in between you are having the check of the user other than this password, so you have to check whether the user is really human or some program, so you are using the captcha, and all those tests are there, so that comes by this by. Another thing is that, say suppose the user's username and password was stolen by someone, then what to do, that things need to be answered. So the complete IAM, identification and authorization or authentication management system, or what we call as a, in simple tone, as a your login system, login, logout, browsing system. That is the phase of this security by, or actually this is a privacy. Now comes the security in cloud. What exactly cloud is used, no matter what type of digital things we are using, we are actually passing some data from client to cloud, from cloud to client. So this is going on infinite time. Okay, and when there is a data is either sensitive or what you can say less sensitive. There is no such data as a non-sensitive. Data is either very sensitive or non very some less sensitive, but data is there. Now this data when you send over this internet, which is not owned by the cloud service provider or by the cloud user or by any other government. So you know that there are so many networking attacks and threats are available. Networking attacks and threats are available in the cloud. So what can be done? You can have the DDoS, distributed denial of services attack. You can have the denial of services attack. You can have the snipping attack. You can have the masquerading attack. You can have viruses. You can have malware. You can have all type of attacks that you know for the computer networks or internet readily available. They are just a ready dish for the cloud computing. Okay, so this data transfer must have to overcome all these attacks. So you require a very strong encryption, decryption, steganography, and like measures to send and receive messages or commands from cloud user to this cloud service provider, and from cloud service provider to cloud user. That is a in part of the cloud. This is order, but this is not in complete in. This is called as a transitional security in cloud computing. Means whenever you are sending data from one place to another place, we call that as a transition. And data in transaction or in transition should have to be secure. So transitional security is there. This is one security, that the insecurity. Now another insecurity is that whenever this data goes to the cloud, if cloud user is storing data at his place, cloud service provider have no responsibility or no answerability for that. But let's say suppose cloud user is using the cloud storage to store this data, and this cloud storage is actually shared by millions of cloud users, and one or two cloud users can't be helpful for a cloud to start your own cloud. So Google cloud or Amazon cloud, millions of users are using them, so their data need to be properly compartmentalized. That properly compartmentalized, then there is one problem, or what we call as a data, if we say when we data retrieval problem. I stored the data in a remote data center, but when I want to retrieve that data, or you can say when I want to get that data, let's say suppose you store some image on a cloud, and that image you want to retrieve from the cloud, then what happens? Some data loss is always there when you use this network on something, due to the noise and many other conditions. In that condition, that data may not be reproduced in its original form. Data may not be reproduced in its original form, and then using this cloud is almost what you can say non-efficient, or sometimes it's just make no point there. So generally, to avoid such type of errors, data is stored using the RAID principle, redundant array of inexpensive disk principle. So that is, multiple copies of the data get stored in the storage. Compartmentalization, data distribution is there. Now this, just like a client machine, this cloud infrastructure is also prone to the different attacks. So whatever the data stored there, if someone get an access to the data storage of a cloud, that person must not have to get what exactly the data is. Even if you get the data, means even if that person get the data from the hard disk, that data should have to be in an encrypted format, so that without knowing the encryption algorithm, without knowing those keys, the person or the hacker must not have to get any access to your data. That is the another security aspect of security in cloud computing. So that one thing is the security in cloud computing. Now this is the another aspect. This we can say that is a storage security in cloud computing, or the data security in cloud computing. Instead of saying the storage, you can say it's as a data security in cloud computing. But there is one thing, what you can say, if say suppose one server which is here, that server is pool here in a computational resources, and that server fail. Now all of you, or all of us are from the teaching field, we know that is, if say one server fail, we require the another server. But this transition from one server to another server, this transition from one server to another server need to be very seamless. That is also the one type of security, or often say performance thing, guarantee that the cloud have to offer, and that is a part. This is not directly in a security, but that is a part which start with the security in cloud computing. What is the process? How the processes are actually processed by the CSP. This is one. Now comes the cloud computing security for CSP infrastructure, cloud service providers infrastructure. First, whenever there is an infrastructure, you are having first the building. You need to acquire the building secure. Another thing is, you know that when your computer starts, right now, before starting this session, I suddenly got my network down, and laptop suddenly goes into what you can say hang up mode. So this session started few minutes later. Such type of situations say suppose happen in the cloud service provider, the users will start what you can say leaving that cloud service provider. So cloud service provider have to give proper first what you can say safety to its infrastructure using good buildings, good cooling systems, good many other systems are there. Now the second thing is that when it comes to security for cloud, just like attacks that are possible on this cloud user, there are many hackers and crackers who always like to get what you can say entry into cloud service providers computational resources or storage resources, and to what you can say block them from doing that, this require to have all the external networks like your IDS intrusion detection system, honeypots, DMZ demilitarized zone, and antiviruses, malwares, everything for these scams, for this CSM, what you can say your computational control and monitoring system, and for storage also. These are the required external securities or something. Now when you have these scams and when you have this user on what are these transactions, what are data communication is happening, this is actually against certain money. So basically cloud computing is commercializing or giving your resources on rent or sharing your resources on rent with somebody. Now rent means money. Now for very big finance is what you can say involved in a cloud computing. Client users need to pay the bills to cloud service providers. Cloud service providers need to pay taxes to government and likewise. So there is a financial transaction. And if say suppose you are a cloud user and you paid 100 rupees bill that come to you for say a month of use of a certain software to the cloud service provider, there is a possibility a sniffer and hacker or cracker can pose as a cloud service provider and can get that money from you, and cloud service provider won't, so next day you will not get the cloud service active. So financial fraud is the major what you can say threat other than the technical fraud in the technical security problem in the cloud computing. For that purpose, the CSP, particularly cloud service provider, need to set a secure channel. So use of VPN, virtual private network, okay, use of VPN or use of HTTPS, use of authenticate digital signatures, and many security measures need to be taken for the what is the communication non-repudiation must have to be taken, so that the users must not say that he is not the user for that particular service or something. So this is a simple scenario in a cloud security. It is it seems to be now what is this is all technical security. This is all technical security. Now let's see what is the non-technical security scenario in a cloud. This is our globe. Okay, this is our globe. Uh, so this PDF is not working, responding. So just consider here you are having our entire globe or the earth. Just consider this as your earth. Okay. Now we are here in India. Okay. Here you are having this complete Asia. Okay. Here you are having this mid Asia. Here you are having this Africa and likewise. Now you are here. Say in I am here in Pune. We are the cloud user for the Amazon. Let's say cloud user of Amazon. Amazon's data center is in Australia. Okay, is in Australia. Amazon's computing center is in say here in South America. Okay, in South America you are having this thing, the computational center. Amazon's CAM may be here somewhere in Europe or something, and then you are having some security IAM or something, maybe that is in China. So actually, you are the client is here, the data center is at in some other country, the computational center is in some other country. You are having this, what you can say, the CSPs providers of the country, camps in other country. All they are actually legally not within the same periphery. So whatever the legislation or regular laws are there of the particular country, those laws are applicable to that data center, to that computational center, to that IAM center, to that CAM center, that is control and monitoring center, or the service of this cloud computing. Now, again, every country is having some legal aspect of the data. If you go with the GDPR, General Data Privacy and Protection Rule, okay, GDPR, which was actually practiced by European Union since 2018. India is still in the queue. So this General Data Protection and Privacy Rules (GDPR) says that certain type of data must not have to cross the boundaries of country. Now this boundary may be the physical boundary, or this boundary may be the logical boundary or the internet boundary. So whatever data there should have to be, some data must not have to pass. So this one aspect is there, which is called as this is a issue, a challenge, and thing which is related to the cloud computing, that is called as a legal system. You have a local law, state law, country law, national law, then you are on the international law. All those laws need to be satisfied by the cloud service provider and even by the cloud users in certain conditions, and that is one security measure. Because if say suppose a software, because this is not handled by a human being, single human being, you are having a complete software system for that, or complete system actually, instead of saying software, maybe certain hardware is also involved. That system, if fail to comply by the law of the particular country, comply by the law of the particular country, then it can create a many major issues. And say suppose some hacker enter into such type of system, okay, which is controlling all these, then that will be the very what you can say dangerous or very difficult problem for the cloud computing or for cloud service provider also. So maintaining all these things is very necessary for a cloud computing service provider, and this is though not the direct security measure, is the measure which is considered as the what you can say basis for providing the security. How much security you can provide to the other person. So suppose anonymity security is provided by the cloud computing to the user, and if it is prohibited in certain countries, then that user or that cloud service provider may get what you can say penalized for that. So that there is a financial aspect connected with all the services in a cloud computing. Cloud computing is not mere technology. Cloud computing is the mix of technology, commerce, and legal system. So it is like a fireball that you have to hold in your hand without burning it. Okay, मतलब आपका हाथ नहीं जलना चाहिए. So simple thing is that is the cloud computing. This is a simple aspect of the cloud computing or security aspects of cloud computing. Now, what kind of threats are possible to a cloud security? Again, cloud security means you are having clients. Cloud security means you are having what you can say. I'm seeing hacker as a HC. Okay, you can have hackers and crackers, or you can say simply cyber criminals, but not all hackers and crackers. Espionage, snippers, other things, and then you are having the CSP's own people, cloud service providers' own people. They all are threat to the security of cloud computing. Potential threat. Okay, this is the most dangerous part of the security breach. So, say suppose an insider employee of a cloud service provider decided to do something and or accidentally what you can say install some malware in the cloud service provider's what you can say machine, then it can cause damage to rest of the things. Hackers and crackers, they are always trying to intrude into the system for their benefits or just for fun. Okay, that is something the criminals may more often. Now, how the client can be the threat to the security of cloud computing? Now, thing is that many times client, because of the what you can say minimal knowledge of the system, they simply shares their password, their what you can say username, sometimes their particular data with a third person to operate on behalf of them. Let's say suppose you are too busy being a director or being a HOD or being a say CEO of some company or something like that. You generally give your username and password to the insider, that is the to whom on whom you trust more. Now these persons generally have no tendency to remember this username password, so what they do, you give them on return on some paper sheet and something, and that paper sheet is there. But once that task is completed, generally the employees do what, instead of say destroying that username password, they simply throw it into the dust bins. Now the hackers and crackers can see the such type of stationery thrown in a dust, we what can say by the organization, and can get much vital information which then they can use to hack either into your client system or into the cloud system. And that's why the client are also the major what you can say risk to the security. So security is the three-dimensional aspect. It is not single dimensional. First dimension is the technology dimension. That is, the technology need to be secure itself first, the data and everything. Then second is the hacker, that is what you can say external agency dimension is there, that is that I have to say. And then internal agency is the people who are involved in the usage or implementation of cloud computing. They can also become the threat to the cloud security, and so the cloud security is very difficult. Another thing is that with technology, with advancement, the goons, or what you can say these criminals, are the attackers or hackers, they are finding very new measures to attack on the cloud. Okay, and we are coming with the many new measures to stop these attacks. Viruses are evolving just like your operating system and your cloud system. So all that thing need to be get managed properly when it comes to cloud computing. This is the basis or basic concept of the cloud computing security as per my understanding. So if you have any queries, question to discuss for this, we can go for that. For next 5 minutes, and then we will go through my presentation on the cloud computing security, which is based on the standard notes and other. So welcome questions. Any questions? Hello.
No, sir.
No. Okay. So we will shift to the subject cloud computing, security in cloud computing, and here we are going to see the subject in a view of the syllabus of the Savitri Bai Pune University, and really what you can say the part I actually act as a part of the syllabus setting team. So this for this particular topic, so uh, and I'm not going to take too much of your time for this. It is only 18 slides. So if you see the first two slides of the 2 3 slides, and the last slide, it's almost small. Only thing, this is what my agenda is actually to give the detailing on this thing. That is what is this cloud security alliance guidelines, understanding cloud-based security issues, threats, or what you say this is the content. And in the syllabus, your reference number 5 and reference number 6 are the basis for all these things to go with. So let's before starting this presentation, I just want to show or introduce this my uh, book to you. That book I have written on the cloud computing with my guide Dr. Rian Chaudhary and Dr. Bhim Thakre. I've written four books actually, book on LaTex, book on cloud computing, and these books are sold in 106 countries worldwide on Google Books. So if you are interested, you can go through these books. But this book, I'm not saying that is for cloud security. This is the basic information of cloud computing, only the concepts. Now, these are the two references that you have to go through. One is the security guidelines by the Cloud Security Alliance, and another is the National Institute of Standard Technology, what you can say, giving the NIST Cloud Computing Standards Roadmap. So they both gives you the detail on how to go through the things, and this is what I think. So now we'll see what is Cloud Security Alliance guidelines regarding the cloud and what are the cloud things. So basically cloud is what? Resource pooling. So you know that in distributed computing system, we know that there is a workstation model, there is a mainframe model, then there is a mainframe and workstation model, which was then a software using softwares become client server model. But after that they found that we can pool the processors together. So using SMPs, symmetric multiprocessors, or MPPs, massively parallel processor or something, we can pool the computational power in one place. Okay, so you are having the processor pool model in the distributed computing system to form a server. At the same time, just like processor pool model, you can store the memory or in one place. So you are in the shared memory model, and then you have the distributed shared memory model where you use the network attached storage or storage attached networks and likewise. And so we are actually pulling the resources in one place, and then using thin client or using even the thick client or the computers, you can connect to these high what you can say utilization resources and that. So this is the essential characteristic of the resource pooling is the essential characteristic of a cloud computing. Another is that cloud computing gives the broad network access because client user, the CSP and the cloud user, cloud service provider and cloud user, they both actually communicate with each other via some network. It may be private or public, but they uses some network, and so it's require broad network access. The next is that is the services in cloud generally are on demand. Self-servicing means you log in into the cloud service providers your account, and you choose which service to use from the cloud service providers offered services. Each service is offered for a certain type of what you can say payment. So base either fixed payment things, that is you can use the service for 24 hours for this much money. Whether you use within that 24 hours for 1 hour or not, it's not no matter. So as soon as you fix service, then there is on demand on time. So login usage in and usage out time is recorded. So CAMS is doing many things. So this is called as a measured service is there. One thing is there. Rapid elasticity is the one of the flexibility or rapid elasticity or adaptability is another aspect of a cloud where when number users increases and if they demand something, so these are the then what you have got the on-demand self-service there. But there is another thing that's called as virtualization, and that is when we do the resource pooling, or when you do rapid elasticity, when you do these things, you have to virtualize the many resources. Okay, so virtual computing is also the part of the cloud computing. Now, cloud computing is basically based on the services type is divided into three parts. Software as a service, where the cloud service provider have the complete control and you are simply given the access to the software. It is like just working on the Microsoft Word or something like. Okay, so you are given the software and you can work on them. Then you have the platform as a service. Say suppose you want to work on a particular operating system or say particular platform. Okay, and the license, getting that per platform per single license is very costly. You can go for the platform as a service. Best example for the software as a service is the LaTex editor overlay, okay, which is available on net. You can go online and you can use that software as a service. Platform as a service on net is the online development environments, okay, like you can have these oracle's database development environment, or you can have the MongoDB's database development environment, which are online. Those are the platform as a service. Then you are in the infrastructure as a service, that is a model. Let's say suppose you want to print something, or you want to do some banners and everything for your college or for your personal use, but you don't have want to buy the machine. Now say suppose in your own city someone is having the printer which can print the banners. Now this person can enable this printer for the network sharing, but it say okay, whatever you send to this printer, we are going to charge for the usage. So you can send to this printer by logging into that particular system, and then you pay the money. The printer prints the things, and then either you can collect it from the printer, or printer will send the printed material to your address. So that is infrastructure as a service. As you go low, means from software as a service to infrastructure as a service, the control of users become more and more on the cloud, and infrastructure as to SaaS, control of cloud service provider become more and more. So when you are using the SaaS or the software as a service, cloud provider have the based, or you can say, control on the service offering and something. And based on the network type used, you can call it as a public cloud, or you can call it as a private cloud. Based on if you are using the both, you can call it a hybrid cloud. Sometime you may have the special interest group, so then it can be considered as a community cloud. But basically cloud computing is the commercialization of the resources, and you can share these resources using computer technology, or ICT, actually information communication technology, with the model pay as you go. So that is a rental model, and so basically the cloud computing is the pay as model for this thing. So security alliance guidelines, so that is, these are the basis definition of the cloud computing. Now, so CSA actually divided cloud computing structure into four parts. One is called as infrastructure, the another called as a meta structure, then called as an application or appli structure, and then you have the data or the infrastructure. So what infrastructure contains is the data and information. That is all type of data. That is, you are sending some message or something content in your database. What are the files that you are sharing or storing in the cloud or on cloud? All that data is info or structure to what you can say, offering complete security to information and data share over the cloud is the responsibility of cloud service provider. Then you have the appli structure. When you are using a software as a service, okay, the application deployed in a cloud to offer as a service, or the software as a service, or platforms are deployed on the cloud to offer as a service, because they are also one type of application. Okay, in that case you have to check the how much control you will ready to give to the user for that particular platform or for that particular software. So AI based learning, AI based notification services, there are many other things are there which can call as an appli structure. Meta structure is the language of the languages, or you can say data of the data. So whatever data we are storing, sharing on the cloud, so the logs or tables of this data will be maintained by the cloud, and that logs and tables maintained by the cloud to check out all the data share on the cloud is called as a meta structure. Securing this meta structure is very important. If you won't secure this meta structure properly, the entire cloud computing operations may go down within no time. And then the infrastructure, obviously infrastructure is the basis, because if you don't have the hardware, you can't have meta, appli or info. Okay, so securing the infrastructure is very important in cloud computing. Mostly the cloud computing infrastructure is always provided with uninterrupted power supply. So for a second also they won't allow to go power off. So the power demand is very high when it comes to infrastructure. Storage and other things are there. So these are the core logical layers of the cloud computing which needs the security and required to be secured strongly. Then what is the CSA Cloud Computing Alliance guidelines about the cloud computing? So you are having the client, you are having internet cloud, you are having the cloud monitor and control system. Then you are in the compute pool or computational pool. Then you are having the storage or data pool, and all these things need to be secured. All these things need to be secure. We already have discussed this with my conceptual diagram, so I'm not going in more depth for this. But you can have the storage pool, you can have the compute pool. Storage pool is called as a storage area network. Compute pool is called as the MPP, massively parallel processors, or generally called as a grid of the processors. And data pool is there also, and you can have this thing. Now, network also you need to secure in the thing. So you have to understand these cloud-based security issues first to secure the things. So what cloud actually provide? Cloud services provide service providers provide the documents for what type of security features it's having. Generally, this is called as what can I say. Give these things must have to be legally what you can say authenticated. These this is suppose a cloud service provider saying that they are providing such type of services. Cloud involves law. Okay, cloud computing involves the law, and so those services or whatever things they saying must have to be legalized. Means approval of the law is necessary in many cases. So cloud users should, for any given cloud project, build responsibilities matrix to document who is implementing which control and how. And that is also necessary because when you are storing data in a distributed manner, you don't know where data is exactly stored and how it's going to be recalled or how it is going to be fetched or mined by the different application. There you require to be very what you can say careful. So you are having the identify requirements. You have to select the provider service, whatever service that you want to provide. You have to consider the architecture which you like to use, whether it is a SaaS, PaaS or IaaS architecture. Then you have to consider about the asset security controls. You want low level security, mid level security, high level security based on the sensitivity of your data or your demands or needs. Then you have to identify the control gaps, how the billing system is actually work there in that particular, and you have to continuously manage the changes after this implementation of the control. So this is understanding the cloud, the security issues and threats when it comes to cloud computing. Now, what are the client side security? Every client have certain responsibility. Not all security can be offered by the cloud service provider. Any client machine should have a proper antivirus software, firewall, malware detection and removal softwares, virtual private network must have to be there, and client program should have proper identification management or it must have the authorization and entitlement. So better IAM is required for the client program provided by the cloud service provider. So if you are not a cloud service provider is providing something and it's not having the good IAM, then the entire project may go a complete failure. So the this is one thing that we need to concentrate on. So client side security is very necessary. That machine should have proper antivirus software. Now many softwares are coming right now. The softwares like viruses are actually coming, and to safeguard yourself from the those viruses, you require the antiviruses. Like you can have the free antiviruses, you can have the paid antiviruses, but you must have to have the multiple antiviruses because if one antivirus fail to detect, the another may detect that thing, and you are using the data, and you know that when you are using the cloud, you are actually in a business, and if you are in a business, data is sensitive. So antivirus software is must. You must have to have the ransomware detector and the prevention system. Your firewall should have to be very strong. So even if you are on your operating system's default firewall, for example, Bitdefender by Windows or something, it will be an added advantage if you have the another firewall for that. Or you can control create a DMZ zone also. Malware detection, spyware detection, and remote tools should have to be there because they are not the antiviruses. They are viruses which can detect the only virus. You require some malware, some and virtual private network or HTTPS, digital signatures. This can must have to be used by the client to what you can say verify. So if you are using those things in combination with whatever the IAM given by or the client program of the cloud given by the cloud service provider is offering you, if you are equipped with the other securities, you will get a better experience of using cloud. Otherwise, cloud is very clumsy. What is secure cloud storage? Data in cloud storage must be distributed. Data is not stored in one place. So when you send some file, let's say you are send 1 MB of file, the file get partitioned into three parts of just for example, one part maybe gets stored in a African on Africa data center, one may be in the Russian data center, one may be in the Korean data centers, and as demanded and when demanded, they get recreated. And it uses the replication, uses the rare redundance area of expensive disk level 6 for maximum security and reliability for the data storage. Another thing is that every portion of this data, means say suppose you are having the 1 MB of data and it is divided into three parts. Each part must have to be encrypted using different encryption algorithms. That is very necessary, that even if you get the partial information, it's become very difficult to get all the information because every part of that particular file is actually encrypted with different encryption algorithm. You have to use the encryption algorithms which uses the encryption keys to 56 bits or higher, because that is what required for a strong security of the data and to maintain the privacy. Compartmentalization is very necessary in secure cloud storage, because if you won't compartmentalize, the user's data may get mixed up with each other, and in that case the outsiders, the users, one user may get access to another user's data, and like that is something that we have to consider. It must have to be isolated at the same time. These data compartments must have to be isolated. Now, this access to this data in cloud storage must and should have to happen only and strictly through identification and authorization or authentication management system. Otherwise, no. Otherwise, no. So if you are having, no, if you go through IAM, then and then only you can get the data. Elsewise, no. That is the one thing to offer very secure cloud storage. Now, this is the topic of research, ongoing research in many things. When in 2012, actually I started my research at that time, the username and password used to come at the same time. Me and many other researchers worldwide, they at that time thrown one idea of the federated user identification. Means instead of asking username and password at the same time, first ask the username, authenticate that username. Once the username is authenticated, ask for the password, and then allow that user to enter into the system. So in 2012 or 13 something, Google and all this they started this type of doing. So the thing that we thought at that time actually became reality, and the same thing happened. Then comes the two-factor, what can I say, authentication. So even if you log in into the system to do certain type of transactions or operation, for example, when you log in into your banking system and you want to send money to someone, your banking system sent you the authentication OTP, one time password. Yeah. So this one-time password, they found that is of if it is of a fixed length, and if a hacker is intelligent enough and get access to you, they can break it easily. Okay, so instead of fixed length of OTP, nowadays you are having the variable length OTP, real OTP. That was the another thing which was actually given in my security for the cloud storage research. So real OTP actually gives the variable length OTP. That is, instead of only four letters, four characters, it can give 4 to 16, and it has a combination of letters as well as the numbers. So breaking it is quite difficult even if you go with the parallel processing and parallel computing. So that passwords and other things must have to be there in the this data, and all the access to cloud must and should have to happen through the client program or through IAM program. For example, right now I am communicating with you. My access to you is actually happen through only and strictly the Microsoft Teams client, what you can say, IAM. So it first authenticated me and then allowed me to enter into the system. So same things must have to be happen with all those things. This is one cloud. Okay. So these are the things. There are transactional securities is there, that is use of IAM, secure protocols, virtual private networks, encryption, decryption, steganography. All these things should have to be practiced in the cloud computing. Very what you can say thing. And to do this transactional security, you can use all type of encryption, decryption algorithms and then. So actually, when we call security in cloud computing, we are talking about the PGP, what we call as a pretty good privacy. Where the client program is that it should have to be made in such a way that it must have to offer the security as well as privacy to the client. Okay. So what is the scope of cloud computing security? As told in the first portion of the presentation, that when we have the cloud, we have the internet. In cloud computing, internet is the core for the communication. And if it is internet, all the threads, all the irregularities that are available in internet are readily available for the cloud computing. And when such things are readily available for cloud computing, we should and must have to take care. So the designer of this cloud computing must have to take care of the responsibilities, nature of risks, roles, everything about this cloud. So it is very vast because it involves technology, it involves commerce, it involves law. Cloud computing is a multifaceted application of the technology, and there are different type of security risks or issues related with each phase of the cloud computing. We have to tackle that. That is what the cloud security scope is, complete entire scope of the cloud security. So we are going to see about the responsibilities and models or legal issues in the cloud computing. Cloud computing is the combination of technology, commerce, commercialization of technology, and law, legislation is involved. So when we give this cloud computing, shared responsibility model and security responsibility maps, they are required. Security also gets shared in a responsibility. So throughout this world, many countries have adopted legal frameworks requiring public and private organizations to safeguard the privacy of personal data and security of information and computer system. European Union is already practicing GDPR, General Data Protection and Privacy Rules. Government of India is working on personal data protection since 2018. Maybe we get the law by 2024. May. I don't know whether we are going to get it or not. So I am saying may we get that law. But if we get that law, our security will become more, what you can say, strong in many aspects. Our privacy will be safeguarded by that law. So these laws of different countries apply concurrently in accordance with the different ways. So the location of cloud provider. Cloud provider is in America. Obviously, American law governs the services of the cloud provider. Location of cloud user. Cloud user is in Korea. Okay. the Korean rules will apply to that cloud user. If the Korean banned that particular use of the cloud service provider, he can't use the cloud service provider services uh, legally. Now the location of the data subjects, where your data center is there, whether it is in Australia and like this. Then what is the location of servers, computing powers, where those are exactly located. That also affect the legal structure and something. And the legal jurisdiction of the contract between parties. Because cloud computing is commercialization, the bill payment and everything to what you can say decide the jurisdiction if something happens that's not good or that is what can say is a quarrel or something like something where client is not satisfied or where cloud service provider is not satisfied or government is not satisfied, and if they go into the court, the proper jurisdiction need to be decided in cloud computing. That is very important and necessary. Now, then next is the any treaties or other legal frameworks those various locations is having that you have to answer and that you have to check when it comes to these guidelines are actually given by Cloud Security Alliance. Okay, the Cloud Security Alliance consider the both model, ISO model of the cloud computing as well as the NIST model of cloud computing. Okay, so now comes the cloud service agreements or contracts. They are very important, also called as the service level agreements. And service level agreements is a documentation which actually gives all the aspects of the cloud computing, legal and other things. Answer is try to answer everything, and you require to what you can say sign it SLA, which is like just like end user license agreement in your software program. Okay, sign it or accept it before is utilizing the cloud computing services. So will the service be reliable? Because if you say suppose you go on you decided to go on cloud, and if you say choose a cloud service provider, you have to find out whether these questions, that is, will the service be reliable and easy to use, whatever service offered by that cloud provider. And how will the servers be used to process data, वो data processing कैसे करता है, और ये whether it's leaking data or selling data to someone, what service operate and be provided by the service provider. Okay, how will data be protected from intrusion or disasters or any other attacks by the cloud service provider if the data is stored in cloud storage? How will be the price evolve over time? What will be the pay model? How the bills will be calculated and everything that you have to consider. Then you have to consider about will the cloud vendor meet the company's computing access needs. If the cloud vendor really meet the company's computing access needs, then you can go for that. And another then question comes: will the cloud vendor remain in business? Because cloud service provider is here the bottleneck. If the cloud service provider is not strong as Amazon or Microsoft, and it is just a newcomer which is not having sufficient funds and sufficient what you can say expertise, the thing may happen that someone start a cloud service providing unit on Monday and close it by Saturday. So instead of going through, you have to go for the giants. Now what service level will be offered is a SaaS, PaaS and other levels for service. All those things, and there are many other things generally mentioned in the cloud service agreements. Uh, Cloud service agreements like legal what you can say restrictions, constraints, and other things mentioned by the local and the global law. So this is the data security life cycle in a cloud computing or cloud monitoring system. So it creates the data, it destroys, it stores the data, it uses the data, it shares data, it archives the data. But when the data is no more needed, it actually destroys this data using crypto destruction. Means data is literally to get destroyed in its all aspect. And that is what the data security life cycle in a cloud computing. Now, what is identity and access management? Now, just a minute. In this data creation means the user creates some data on his own machine and can then share that data with the other people. And then this created data need to be get stored. So there are two storage facilities given by the cloud. Generally, the client can store data on his own machine, or client can store it on the cloud storage. And if he's storing on the cloud storage, there is some charges he need to pay. These charges may be the yearly charges, hourly charges, or something like based on the whatever things are there. So data is stored like that. Then usage of that data is there. That data is used, share, and once this sharing is completed, and now you are not using this data, let's say for the next 10 days, in 1 month and something, the data get archived. And after a stipulated period by the law, this data need to be destroyed completely using crypto destruction method. And you know this IAM, it is you have to log in and authenticate. So to log in you require username password, and then you have to, that is username password, log in, authenticate. But after that you require to validate. So you may ask for the captcha and other thing to validate whether the person is real person or some bot. Now when you enter into the system and do certain type of operations, if the data in the system or some operations in that systems are sensitive enough, then you require to authorize yourself. So they may what you can say, throw some challenge to you like an OTP or some other things, and once that authorization is done, then only you can go and use that particular service. But again that service get timestamp, means even if you get authorized, you are given with the 10 minutes or only 4 minutes or 5 minutes to use that service. If you fail to use that service in that stipulated time, you require to reauthorize yourself. Okay, that is time. Once you are done all these things, you can log out. So this is the circular process in IAM, or identity and access management. Now there are things that we call as risk management. Risk comes in this cloud, governance and enterprise risk. So first, management, security professional need to be very careful about governance. When we say governance, we are not talking about only the company governance, we are also talking about the legislature here. So it includes the policy, process, internal controls of controls that compromise how an organization is run, and everything, even the some local happenings and something which can go on affecting the cloud computing infrastructure or service providers business. Now enterprise risk management is there, that is include managing overall risk of the organization. So you have to maintain a very large data center, you have to maintain a very large massively parallel processor centers, then you require certain type of monetary support, and that is what we call as an enterprise risk management. The information risk management, when the data is shared on the cloud, if the data leakage happens, then that data can be stolen by some if stolen by some person who is criminally inclined, then they can use that data, or that institution which is criminally, to what can say take advantage, to take advantage of the people's situation, and that is the one management. Then you have the information security. No matter how you are, if you are say using encryption, decryption or steganography like means to secure your information, you need to, what you can say, keep changing or keep advancing your security mechanisms with time. That is the one challenge for this information security. So security, this is I think the last point in our uh, presentation. When it comes to trusted, the complete world is just going on a trust. Means you trust somebody, somebody trusts you, and based on that trust the things goes. It is not always the law, it is not always the other things, but it is a trust which work. So many times what happens, the cloud service providers decide or give some trusted third party uh, to handle this IAM and other type of or CAMS type of jobs. And client says this. CerberOS is the best example of this. But the problem is that if the trusted third party itself compromise the cloud service provider situation or client position, then it can be the security threat to the computing. So trusted third party cloud computing, or generally called as a trusted cloud computing, is a solution. At the same time it has the same bottleneck which offers the solution. Okay, so this is what the security in the cloud computing. So if you have any questions, queries, or you want to discuss regarding the concept of security in cloud computing, you can throw the questions. From my side, the presentation, I think I have given a very abstract view. I won't say detail or a brief. I am saying a very abstract view of the security, because security is a multifaceted thing to go through. You can't say that just you have done this means you are completely secure. Okay, it is just like that. Is you can have a door to come in your house or go out of your house. Door don't know whether it is you or someone else. Yeah, so you have to have some other measure to identify whether it is you or someone else, and likewise. So security is ongoing business. Every new technology gives certain loopholes, and you require to identify some security measures to overcome those loopholes and to offer the proper security measures. Okay, and when you taught these subjects, security in cloud computing, what I suggest you must go through the primary books on the security by Cloud Security Alliance and National Institute of Standard and Technology to teach the subject. Because if you simply go through the some textbooks, something, you may stuck up with something which is 20 or 10 years before technology. In that case, you may read or you may get something, but that is not working right now. You may read or you may get some knowledge, but maybe that knowledge is not working right now, because due to the advancement of technology, many of those security threats or many of those security solutions are not in use at all. So because if you go by the 2000, before 2012, the username and password were asked together. Now it has been federated. Maybe in coming year, if you go a proper with an biosensitivity or biotag, something like that, then you even won't require any username. Okay, the device will be locked with you. Okay, so as soon as you open the device will check your iris, your gaze, and other things, and based on that, it will allow you to enter into the system. Sometimes the device may have the blood analyzer, so you simply have to put your thumb there or something, and it will check from your heat signature that whether you are the you or someone else. And so security aspect is going on. The blockchain, which is not I mentioned here, is the another security measure which is used and becoming more day by day more popular uh, in the commerce side. Maybe the cloud computing is going to use that in near future. And if the cloud computing go on using the blockchain, then the cloud computing will become very difficult to break. Than whatever the things, and that will be the good aspect of using the technology. So this is regarding my presentations on the security. If you like it, kindly drop me the appreciation. You can visit my YouTube channel TutorASRumale, where I actually added many of uh, the programs and many uh, on the lectures on video lectures on LaTeX, on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and many other topics, including cloud computing. So thank you very much, all of you, to listening me so sincerely for last 1.5 hour. If you have any questions, queries for next 15 minutes, you can ask me that. Or if you think that whatever that I presented here is not up to the mark in certain aspects, you can also what you can say, discuss that or your views regarding the security in cloud computing with me. Thank you.
Participants, any questions? Okay, sir, I hope there are no questions from the participants. And if we come across any of the questions or any problems, then we will be contacting you through your mail ID. Okay, thank you very much, sir. It was really knowledgeable, and we came to know many new things about the cloud security today. And we will also see about your YouTube channel, so that it will give us more knowledge on the cloud or on artificial intelligence. And thank you very much for accepting the request and being here from your busy schedule.
Thank you. And schedule is really busy because NAC and other works are going on in our college, and we all are busy in doing those things, just like you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you. So shall I leave the meeting, madam?
Yes, sir, you can.
Okay. Thank you.